Hey everyone, welcome to Coral Currents. We've got an awesome lineup of experts for you, covering everything from coral biology to reef ecosystems, reef restoration, and the newest techniques in the field. We'll dive into hot topics like species relocation, even genetic modification, and local perspectives on how climate change is hitting reefs and efforts going in to help them. So today, we are kicking off episode 1 of Coral Currents with coral superheroes, tiny builders of the reef, with our co-host Jackson Hoeke. We're covering a lot: what corals are, how they function, and why they matter, and all in the most fascinating way. So don't forget to go to the website that I mentioned in the description. You can also join our email list just by emailing coralcurrentspodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe, comment, interact however you can. So we're going to go through some introductions here briefly to start off. We're going to say where me and Jackson met and what we're doing now. Jackson, do you want to just kind of briefly go through a little bit about yourself and maybe how we met?
Yeah, so thank you. My name is Jackson. I'm a marine and aquatic scientist. I have a master's in marine science, and my background is in marine invertebrates and invasive species. But right now, I'm working as a tech at a fisheries consulting company in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm analyzing survivorship and population structure of both wild and hatchery salmonids. And yeah, we met Dr. Young's lab at the Oregon Institute of Marine Biology. We were both studying deep sea, or at least you were studying deep sea invertebrates. I was studying something a little more shallow, but still. I was studying hydroids at the time, so I was doing a lot of intertidal work, a little bit of occasionally dredging some up. But yeah, I was keying out species of hydroids on the southern Oregon coast. And you
Cool.
were working with a deep sea urchin larva, right?
Yeah, I had accidentally bred this deep sea urchin called Strongylus introtus fragilis, little pink sea urchin, very fragile, and accidentally bred it. And the lab just kind of erupted, started setting up all the equipment right away. And we did the thermal pressure tolerance tests to see how far they could continue to invade the deep sea, which was cool, very cool. It was like my first real research experience. And Jackson, along with a few other PhD helpers, I convinced them to help me on my experiment because it was a lot of work. I felt overwhelmed, and it was awesome. Everybody just came together and started helping me on this project.
Yeah.
It was
I
pretty cool.
remember all Yeah, I remember all the pressure vessels kind of like almost like strewn about the lab.
It was terrifying. We had to like carry these big pressure vessels like across campus sometimes to get them into different freezers and time sensitive research. It was crazy. I don't know. The community there was amazing. Like, obviously, I still have connection with you. There's a couple
Mhm.
other people that I talked to here and there. So, anyhow, that summer was awesome. I kind of went towards, I graduated with environmental science, and then I got a job like a couple months later with DNA manufacturing. So, kind of building DNA for different research for, vaccines. I'm hoping to use this DNA experience to work with DNA with corals because a lot of research is going into their symbiotic relationship, and there is a lot of DNA analysis that has yet to be done. So, anyways, let's jump right into it. We're going to talk about how significant corals are. When did they get here? What exactly is a coral? And we'll just start broad, like how long corals have been around. How do we even know that? Then we'll break it down into what makes a coral different from another, who they're most closely related to, and that's taxonomy. Finally, we'll zoom into their unique symbiotic relationships with algae. So this podcast will explore both the microscopic details of coral and then the bigger picture. So corals are really simple creatures when you think about it. They have a symbiotic relationship, but they're under serious threat from climate change. Coral bleaching, overfishing, declining water quality. Coral reefs support over 500 million people worldwide, providing food, income, and coastal protection. So they contribute over $375 billion annually in goods and services. As ocean currents carry coral offspring downstream, some other reefs downstream are struggling to get the gene flow from corals. Um, these scientists are observing this effect and these connections to try to protect the upstream corals, maximizing coral survival. So one of the most critical factors is understanding their symbiotic Zooxanthellae, which might hold the key to saving coral reef ecosystems. And so really briefly, according to NOAA, Coral Reef Information Systems, CORIS, corals first appeared around 535 million years ago, determined through fossil age dating. And you might wonder, how do we even know that? Well, radiometric dating, my friend, and the link for the resource there is on the website. So now that we know how ancient corals are and how significant they are, what exactly are they? I think Jackson does have some good insight onto their classification. They are incredibly diverse. So you can carry it away with some of that conversation, Jackson, if you'd like.
Yeah. Before I do, I just want so how exactly does the radiometric dating work when trying to determine how old these coral fossils are?
Yeah. So when you look at carbon 14, it has like a half-life, right? And so the longer and longer any particular, say, fossil goes on existing, this carbon starts to lose its potency. And when you do radiometric dating, it kind of tells you how much of this carbon does it have left in its being, in its rock form. So it's a very precise measurement as well. So they can get down to the specifics on that. If there's anything that I said just now that you have corrections or additions for too, feel free to add on to that now.
No, I think you got it. The only thing I would add is that I think it's a ratio of carbon, right? It's like carbon 14 to carbon. Am I remembering that right?
Yeah, I was wondering the same. It's definitely something I am not a super expert in. I'll learn more about that, and I might even expand on that in another podcast if anybody is interested in learning more about radiometric dating, because that's definitely something worth knowing.
I think you could definitely